not to waste it in all worthless and useless things of this world, but really to engage your heart and soul towards the realization of the truth. That's why the lake is given. But people, first of all, people are not aware of this fact, because when they are not aware of the existence of God, how can they become aware of the practice to realize the truth? First they should be convinced that God exists, So that's why existence of God is proved by all these different examples which I gave. Now there should not be any doubt about the presence of the divine. So once that is cleared off, then you must have firm conviction. Now I must step up my practice to experience it by myself. He might have seen, she might have seen, but what does it to me? I have to see myself. That Vivekananda, he himself wanted to realize the truth, that everything is Brahman. Before that it was simply ridiculous. He was just scoffing. So he had to practice himself. Because his mind was thoroughly pure, he could realize it quickly. Effort has to be made. Purusha prayatna should be made. Once you do effort, you will recognize the grace of God. Everything comes from your own heart. God abides in your heart, But it shows up nicely, and you feel more and more comfortable, more and more peaceful, and more drawn towards the reality. Like that.
Thank you.
For purposes, it seems to me that one can pretty much prove the existence of God, provided you think of God as an external God, someone other than oneself. But I'm wondering if there are arguments that one can mount to also prove the existence of God if you are strictly following the Advaitic, sense of the meaning of God. And as a follow-up question, I was wondering if Adi Shankara at any time he ever tried to address the same question of the existence of God itself.
See, is it complete?
Yes.
Have you become aware of the question now, all of you?
Repeat.
Please repeat again loudly, little loudly. See, whenever you put question, let it be short. The more you elaborate the question part disappears. So, be very short in question. And if any clarification is required, I will ask that. So, be specific in your question, what exactly you wanted to ask.
The first part of the question was, in order to prove that God exists, it seems fairly easy, at least now that you have told us, from all the arguments made, that God exists if one is willing to think of God as someone other than oneself, as an external God, as a separate power, if you will. That, it seems to me, is easy. But can you also give arguments as to why does God exist in yourself? So from
in oneself.
She's saying it's easy to probably infer the existence outside of yourself. How do you know that He's within you?
In fact, I have already told in the course of my talk that God exists everywhere. In the first few sentences itself I told that. See, the atheist says God is nowhere. The theist says God is now here. That means God is everywhere, He is omnipresent. That means He is present in my heart, in everyone's heart. That's the fact. So, when God is in everyone, But that is theoretical conception. And because of the power of God only, that I am able to function in this body. So that way, the existence of God is proved. But why we externalize God? Because it is easy to grasp God that way. Sri Ramakrishna says, God is both with form and formlessness. Both are true. God is with form and without form. That is, God is in unmanifest state and manifested state. In manifested state, He is manifest everywhere, but the degree of manifestation is different. But His manifestation is great in human beings. It has been described like that. And one has to struggle in order to realize the truth. But first of all, you must have faith in the truth. All the saints have realized it. So it should be possible for me to also to realize. And Shankaracharya himself has declared that the whole universe is covered up by the God consciousness. There is nothing but God that exists. The existence is God only. Because everything else changes, constantly changing. Our body also constantly changes. Every day we are aging. One fine day we are disappearing from this world. So, anything that is changing is perishable. That which is not changing, that which is permanent, that is the reality. And that reality is called as God. But everybody has got different type of some temperament, mind, samskaras, capabilities, capacities, skills, etc. So accordingly, out of infinite grace, God assumes different forms in order to satisfy the different aspirations of the devotees. In whatever way you want God, that way God appears to you. That's the meaning. So God can assume any form. He is of infinite forms. Sahasra Shirusha Purushaha Sahasrakshas Sahasravat. That's the idea there explained. So, for some people, Goddess form is most fascinating, appealing. Immediately they can concentrate. For some people, without any form is most fascinating. In fact, Master Maharshi himself said to Sri Ramakrishna, Master, I would like to meditate on formless God. Sri Ramakrishna immediately tells, very good, perfectly all right. But don't say that God with form is wrong. Both are real. You go according to your own way. Everyone has got a way. That means, as God's forms are infinite, the paths leading to God also are infinite. Each individual being can have one's own path. But all the paths are considered as radii of the circle. All the radii, they join in the center. Same way, we are all going towards the center, and the center is the reality. One may be Christian, one may be Muslim, one may be Vaishnava, Shakta, Hindu, whatever it is, whatever label you may have, but you are all proceeding towards the reality. Just as the rivers, though coming from different directions, if you see the mountain, different directions, water will be flowing. But all the water is flowing towards where? Towards the ocean. The ultimate reach is ocean. Same way, we are all reaching Satchidananda Saga, ocean of infinite bliss. Yes?
God, the people in this world, then why some people have to suffer from hunger, from disease, and from natural disaster, while others don't?
This eternal question is always there. For people who are suffering, they think God is not very kind because their suffering is not going. Because they are suffering. All these things are because of our attachment towards our body, mind, and our actions. Why we suffer? We must go to the cause. Then we will get the remedy. As I said, our sufferings are due to our own actions. In whatever way we have done in our lives, the result of those actions we are reaping in the form of sufferings and happiness. So, God is trying to make us understand that why we are suffering, because we are identifying ourselves with unreal things and doing all sorts of actions which are binding us into this world. So, naturally, they won't give you happiness. Where there is attachment, there cannot be happiness. That's the law. So you have to be detached. You have to develop non-attachment. Attachment to body and mind should be withdrawn. If you have to be attached to God. And God is your own self. Self means not the mind, Atman. Atman has no death. So, it is immortal. The immortal self, Atman. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, nachainam klediyanti apo, nashosheti marutaha. This Atman cannot be killed, cannot be burnt, cannot be wrecked. It always exists. Because it always exists, it leaves the body and takes another body. Why should it take another body? Because the desires are in the mind. See, when the soul leaves the body, the subtle body goes along with the soul. Subtle body is the mind. Mind is a storehouse of all the samskaras. Whatever you have seen or done through your senses, they are all recorded in the mind. All your likes and dislikes, whether you want them or not, simply they go and record, stay there in the mind in the form of impressions. Whatever the strong impressions are there in the mind, they determine your future birth. That's why Sri Krishna says, Sarveshu kaleshu ma manusmara. All the time, remember my name. Why did he say so? Unless you remember all the time, how can you remember him at the time of your death? You may be thinking of your petty dog, or you may be thinking of some bank account at the time of death. So next life you will become a millionaire.
Very nice meaning.
What?